Dar al-Sulh was born, and Dar al-Sulh was the place in the Islamic world that Jews belonged to, and that there was harmony, that there was coexistence, and that my grandparents identified as Iraqis. It didn't matter that they were Jewish, they were Iraqis, they were Baghdadis. Dar al-Salah started when I began working with my mother on a project called Enemy Kitchen, Matbakh al-Adu. And this was a work that really came out of our experience as Iraqis living in the US, as Iraqi Jews living in the US when the first Gulf War happened in 1991. My parents and my mother saw both of my brothers and myself watching real-time images from Iraq for the very first time in our lives. But these images were actually the green-tinted CNN images, the night vision of buildings being destroyed, buildings that we were never going to be able to visit. And it was something that was completely eroding these stories about Baghdad that my grandparents had told us, these beautiful stories. And so my mother, in order to get our attention away from the TV, said, "Do you know that there's no Iraqi restaurants in New York?" And this was like a riddle that I would end up answering for the rest of my life, which was my mother pointing out the fact that Iraq was not visible beyond the lens of oil and war. And so in 2003, when the Iraq war was about to begin, I decided to collaborate with my mother to make that Iraqi restaurant appear, but not as a restaurant, but as classes of teaching people how to cook Iraqi food as a kind of protest against the war. The Invisible Enemy Should Not Exist is an ongoing project that will unfortunately outlive me and my studio. Its endeavor is to reappear the more than 8,000 artifacts that are still listed as missing or stolen or destroyed or unknown from the National Museum of Iraq. And it's also unfortunately grown to include the archaeological sites in the north of Iraq like Nineveh and Nimrud, and also the Mosul Museum. For me, there's no going there again. I've never been. And inshallah, one day I would love to go, and I'd love to go when the time is right. And it's always a question of when that time is right, but my heart is there, and it's with the people, the demonstrators who are every day working really hard to make a country appear that's never appeared for them, and one that they're building. And so I'm so inspired by everything that they're standing for.